Behind the Smiley cameras flashed like stars falling from the sky. People cheered. Voices shouted her name. The red carpet stretched endlessly beneath her feet like a river of pressure. Ana de Armas smiled. She had too. Her dress shimmered under the lights. Her heels clicked with perfect rhythm. Her eyes sparkled, but deep inside. Something was breaking. No one saw it, except Keanu. He watched from a quiet corner, not pushing forward like the others, not forcing a smile, not trying to be seen. He simply watched. Calm, quiet, steady. Ana had been doing press tours for weeks. Endless interviews, repeated answers. The same makeup, the same hair, the same smile. She had become so good at pretending, even she had started to believe it. Until last night, she had cried in the hotel bathroom with the faucet running. Just so no one would hear, her hands were shaking. She hadn't eaten since the morning before. No one noticed she had skipped lunch, or how her eyes had gone red. They just saw the glowing star of Hollywood. But Keanu saw more. He saw through the noise, through the fake smiles, through the sparkle. And tonight he couldn't look away. The after-party was loud, too loud. Music pounded like a second heartbeat. People laughed too much, drank too fast, talked over each other just to be heard. Ana stood near the edge of the room, holding a glass she hadn't touched. She wasn't listening, not really. Someone was talking about a new project. Someone else was taking selfies with her in the background. She didn't move. Her smile was fading and still. No one noticed except Keanu. He didn't walk over right away. He waited, watched, waited longer. Not because he didn't care, but because he did. Because sometimes, when someone is drowning, the worst thing you can do is splash louder. So he waited until the room thinned, until she had space to breathe, and then he walked over. "You look tired," he said softly. Ana blinked. "Not you. Look beautiful. Not that scene you did was amazing. Not everyone's talking about you. Single quotes. Just ... You look tired." Her lips parted, ready to smile, ready to deny it. It's like always. But the smile didn't come. Her voice didn't come. Because for the first time, someone had seen her, not the actress, not the star. Just ... her. "I am," she whispered. And that one moment of honesty felt like letting go of 1,000 pounds. They sat on the balcony, far from the party, far from the lights. Ana pulled the blanket tighter around her. Keanu handed her a cup of warm tea. He didn't ask questions. Didn't need to. Silence became a soft place between them. After a while, she spoke. "I don't know how to keep doing this," she said, her voice shaking. "Every day it feels like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not." Keanu nodded. Double quotes. "I know that feeling." Ana turned to look at him. He didn't say more. Didn't talk about his fame, his past, his own pain. Just let the silence hold her. "Thought getting here would fix everything," she said. "But it just made me feel more alone." "Success is loud," Keanu said, "but loneliness is quieter." Looked down at the tea in her hands. "Do you think I'm weak?" "No," he said without hesitation. "I think you're human." And those 5 words broke something open in her. Not in a bad way, but like light breaking through clouds. The next morning, Ana didn't put on makeup. She didn't curl her hair. She wore a hoodie and jeans and walked outside with Keanu. And for the first time in weeks, she laughed. Not for a camera, not for a fan, not for an interview, for herself. They sat on a bench near the beach, watching the waves. A little boy walked past, holding his mother's hand. He pointed at Keanu and smiled. "That's the guy from the action movies." Keanu smiled back. "Just a guy who likes motorcycles and tea." The boy laughed. Ana looked at Keanu. "How do you stay so ... grounded?" "I lost a lot," he said quietly. "And then I learned to hold on to what matters." "And what matters?" He looked at her. "Kindness. Truth. People who see the real you, not just the role you play." Ana's eyes filled with tears. Because for the first time in a long time, she felt seen, and that feeling was everything. Later that day, Ana opened her messages. There were hundreds of them. Offers, interviews, compliments. But she scrolled past. Then she opened a new message. It was from Keanu. One sentence. "If the world gets too loud, I'm always here quietly. She smiled. Because sometimes, the quietest people say the loudest things, and in a world that only wanted her shine, someone had finally seen her shadow and stayed. A room with no applause. Anna sat by the window of her hotel room outside. People moved like shadows. Paparazzi, assistants, fans, always circling inside. It was quiet, too quiet. She held her phone in both hands, scrolling without seeing. Her fingers stopped over Keanu's message. If the world gets too loud, I'm always here quietly. She read it again, and again. It didn't say much, but it meant more than any long speech or grand gesture. A life where people only wanted her when she was smiling, dressed up, and full of energy. He wanted her even when she was quiet, even when she had nothing to give, and that was rare. The knock on the door came gently. Anna opened it slowly. Keanu stood there, holding 2 paper bags. "Thought we could eat," he said, lifting the bags. "Nothing fancy, just sandwiches and soup." Anna smiled. Not the kind she wore for cameras, the kind that reached her eyes. "You read my mind." They sat cross-legged on the floor, the food spread between them on napkins. It was simple, warm, and real. Anna took a bite, then leaned, her head back against the wall. "This is the best thing I've eaten all week." Keanu chuckled. "It's just tomato soup." "No," she said softly. "It's care. And right now, that tastes better than anything else." He didn't say anything, but his smile told her he understood. Later that evening, Anna opened up. Not because she had to, because she finally felt safe. "My dad used to say something before I'd go to school," she began. He'd say, "Don't forget who you are when no one's watching." Keanu nodded slowly. "I forgot," she whispered. "I became his image, always on, always perfect. But inside, I started losing pieces of myself." Keanu looked down at his hands. "I know that feeling. When people expect you to always be strong, always calm, always ... enough." Ina's voice broke a little. "But I'm not always enough. I get scared. I feel lost. And sometimes I just want to disappear." He looked at her with gentle eyes, wanting. "To disappear doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And it means you've been carrying too much alone." She blinked away the tears. "Have you ever wanted to disappear?" she asked. Keanu paused, then said yes, more times than I can count. And just like that, the silence between them became something sacred. The next day was due on set. It was a high-budget scene. Lights, smoke, a dramatic line under pouring rain. She stood on her mark. The director called, "Action, Anna," said the line, but something felt ... wrong. Not with the scene with her. She wasn't there. Her body was moving. Her mouth was speaking. But her soul felt 1,000 miles away, between takes. She sat alone in a chair, wrapped in a towel. The rain had stopped. But inside, she still felt soaked. A crew member handed her a coffee. She thanked him, her voice barely above a whisper. Then she saw Keanu, not on set. He stood far away, near the trailers. His eyes met hers, and in that moment, something in her chest steadied. He wasn't smiling. He didn't wave, but just knowing he was there was enough. After the shoot, Anna walked up to him. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough to see you didn't need anyone else telling you how to perform. But maybe you needed someone to ask how you felt." She stared at him, then said, "Like I was acting, even when I wasn't." Keanu nodded. "Then let's stop acting." Just for tonight, they took a walk. No cameras. No fans. Just 2 people walking quietly under the city lights. They found a small bench near a fountain. The water bubbled softly. Anna looked at her reflection in the water. "I used to love acting," she said. "When I was little, I'd perform. In my room for no one, just me, pretending. It felt like magic. What changed? It stopped being pretend and started being pressure." Keanu nodded. Double quotes maybe. He said gently, "It's time to find your way back to the little girl who loved it." Anna stared into the fountain for a long time. How? He thought for a second. Do one thing tomorrow for her. Not for the press, not for the studio. For her. She smiled, the kind that was almost too fragile to hold. Okay, she whispered. The next morning. Anna wore sneakers instead of heels. She skipped the black car and walked to the lot. Instead, no makeup, no mirrors, just her. And when someone pointed and whispered, she didn't flinch, because for the first time, she was doing something for the girl, who once danced in her bedroom mirror later that day. She found Keanu on a quiet part of the set. He was reading a small book. She sat beside him. What are you reading? Something a friend gave me when I was struggling. A book of letters. What kind of letters? He opened the book and handed it to her. The page said, Dear you, if the world is heavy, sit down. If your chest hurts, breathe slow. If no one sees you, I do. Anna blinked. Who wrote this? Someone who survived. She handed the book back slowly. Thank you for being here. I'm not going anywhere. And somehow, that was enough to carry her through the rest of the week as the days passed. Anna laughed more, not because everything was fixed, but because she didn't feel alone. Anymore, Keanu never tried to fix her. He didn't offer solutions. He just listened, and that, more than anything, gave her strength. Because sometimes the loudest form of love is presence. The world kept watching. Ghana stood in front of the mirror in her dressing room. The walls were quiet, the door was closed. And yet, the noise inside her head had returned. You don't belong here. You're just lucky. They'll replace you tomorrow. That makeup artist had left 20 minutes ago. Her hair was perfect, her face flawless. Her dress worth more than she used to earn in a year. And still, she felt like she was crumbling. She touched her stomach. It hurt. Not from food she hadn't eaten. It hurt from nerves. From the weight of expectations. From the fear of being found out, not for something she did, but for not being as strong as everyone thought she was. Her phone buzzed. One message. From Keanu, just breathe. You don't have to prove anything today. Not to them, not to yourself. Just be. She closed her eyes, breathed in, and for a moment the noise grew quiet. The awards night was grand. Bigger than any she'd been to before. Giant screens. Endless lights. Names flashing across banners. People dressed like royalty. Anna walked the carpet slowly. Every few steps, a photographer shouted her name. Anna looked left. Anna smiled. Here, Anna, who are you wearing? She smiled when she could. Nodded politely. Answered gently, but her eyes kept searching. Then at the end of the carpet, standing near the wall in a simple suit, was Keanu. No cameras pointed at him. He didn't mind. His eyes met hers. And just like that, her shoulders lowered. Her breath deepened. He nodded once, and she kept walking. Inside the auditorium, the pressure grew. She sat with her team. People all around her buzzing with excitement. Everyone whispering predictions, rankings, odds. They're saying you'll win, someone said. She smiled weakly. She didn't want to talk about winning. She just wanted to feel okay her. Category came up fast. The announcer's voice echoed through the hall. And the award for Best Actress goes to... Pause. Longer pause. Not her name. Someone else. Cheers. Claps. Anna clapped too. Smiled, but something in her cracked. Not because she didn't win, because deep down, she had tied her worth to the outcome. And now, she felt invisible again. She slipped. Out before the show ended, walked into the hallway, found quiet spot behind the curtains, and sat. No one followed, except Keanu. He walked in slowly. She didn't look up. I didn't expect to win. Said. She nodded. Double quotes. I thought if I just worked harder, gave everything, I'd feel like I belonged. He sat beside her on the floor. Belonging doesn't come from trophies, he said. It comes from being real, from showing up even when it's hard. She looked at him, her eyes red. Then why does it feel like being real gets punished? Because the world doesn't know what to do with real, he said gently. It celebrates masks. But that doesn't mean we stop being ourselves. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. I just feel tired and rest, he whispered. You've earned that too. They didn't speak for a while. Just sat. Just breathed. In the distance, applause roared again. Another name announced. Another moment passed without her. And yet, this moment felt more true than anything on that stage. The next day, Anna didn't post anything on social media. No pictures, no red carpet photos, just a blank. Story with 3 words. Still learning how it broke the internet? Fans wrote messages of support. Strangers shared stories of failure. People from all around. The world said thank you for saying it out loud. And still, the media twisted it. Anna breaks down after loss. Anna's career at a crossroads. Is Hollywood too much for her? Keanu sent one text. None of that matters. The people who matter know who you are, she replied. But why does it still sting? 'Cause you care. And that's not a weakness. It's your strength. Later that week, Anna met a young girl outside a studio. She wore a homemade shirt that read, I want to be like Anna. Anna knelt beside her. Why me? She asked softly. The girl beamed. Because you smile even when you're sad. Anna blinked. The girl added, and because you're kind to people who don't expect it. Anna hugged her tightly. For the first time in days, she felt like her pain had meaning. That evening she called Keanu. Are you free? Always. They met at a small diner. She wore no makeup. He brought her pancakes. I used to think success would feel like this, she said. Just sitting somewhere safe, laughing over food. No pressure. Maybe, he said, real success is feeling peace when the world expects you to be perfect. She looked at him. I'm not perfect. He smiled, and that's exactly why you're worth watching, Anna laughed. The sound soft and unguarded. You really think people care about someone who's broken? People don't connect with perfection, Keanu said. They connect with honesty. She nodded slowly. Then I want to be honest. He raised a brow. Starting now? She smiled. Starting now. And that night she posted, again, a blurry photo of her and Keanu eating pancakes. No filters, no edits, just to people quietly healing. The caption read, not winning, not losing, just living. The one person who sees me. And for the first time in a long time, Anna didn't care about likes or comments because she felt something better. Peace. Behind the curtain, Anna stood on the balcony of her apartment. The sky was gray, clouds heavy with rain. She held a warm cup in her hands and watched the street below, people rushing, umbrellas opening, cars moving like slow rivers. But her mind wasn't on the street. It was on the call she had just finished. Her agent had said the words softly, but clearly. They want someone younger. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just stood there, silent. Not because it didn't hurt, but because she was tired of hurting. In front of people who didn't understand, she placed the cup down and walked back inside. The world outside kept moving, but inside, she was still, too still, Keanu showed. Up without asking, he knocked 3 times and waited. When she opened the door, she didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He simply held out a small takeout box. Chicken soup, he said. For bad days. Anna took it and stepped aside. He entered quietly, like someone who had learned not to take up too much space. They sat on the floor again. No table, just soup. 2 spoons. It's quiet breathing. After a few bites, she whispered, they said, I'm too old for the role. Keanu's face didn't change. He simply took another spoonful and said, that role's too small for you. Anna smiled sadly. You don't have to make me feel better. I'm not, he said. I'm telling the truth. She looked down at her spoon. But what if they stop calling? Then maybe it's time you start calling yourself. She frowned. What does that mean? It means, he said slowly, maybe it's time you create something of your own. Something real. Something that lets people see the whole of you, not just the part they expect. Anna stared at him. I don't know if I can. Then I'll help you. Why? Keanu set down his spoon. Because someone helped me once. And because you're worth more than they see? Anna blinked for a moment. The silence between them felt like warmth. Over the next few weeks, they started working on something new. Not a big film, not a studio project, just a small idea. Anna's idea. A short film about a woman who smiles through storms, feels invisible even as the world watches, who breaks, heals, and still dares to keep going. They wrote it on napkins, in notebooks, on phones, during walks. At coffee shops. Keanu helped her shape the story, not by taking over, but by holding space for her to grow. Every time she doubted herself, he reminded her, this story matters, and so do you. Anna directed the short herself. No assistants, no glam team, just a few friends with cameras. And Keanu always standing just outside the frame. She cried on the second day of filming. Not because something went wrong, but because something finally felt right. I've never felt this free. She whispered. Keanu smiled. It's because it's yours. When the short film was finished, Anna posted it online. No marketing, no trailer, just a simple caption. For anyone who ever felt unseen. The response was overwhelming. Comments poured in from people across the world. This made me cry. Thank you. I didn't know other people felt this way. This is the most honest thing I've seen in years. Anna read every message. She cried again. But this time, the tears weren't from pain. They were from connection and relief. Because now she knew her story mattered. Not because it was perfect, but because it was true. That night, she and Keanu sat under the stars. No talking, just breathing. After a while, Anna turned to him. Why did you help me? She asked again. Keanu thought for a moment. Because when I looked at you that night at the premiere, he said softly, I saw myself years ago, drowning behind a smile, and no one saw me. Anna touched his hand gently. I'm glad you saw me. I always will, he said, and somehow that promise felt more powerful than any award. A few days later, Anna got a call. A director she had always admired had seen her short film. They wanted to meet, not for a part, for a collaboration. We don't want you to act in someone else's dream, the director said. We want you to help shape the next one. Anna smiled. Her voice didn't shake. Then let's build something real. Keanu watched from the sidelines as her confidence returned, but he never stepped away. He stayed close quietly. Like always, one evening as they walked through the park, Anna stopped suddenly. I used to think silence meant loneliness, she said, but now it feels like peace. Keanu looked at her. That's because you're finally with people who let you be. She nodded. Double quotes, thank you for being one of them. Always. And as the sun set, Anna realized something important. She had been trying to fit into a world that never saw her. But now with kindness, truth, and quiet courage, she was creating her own. And that changed everything. The truth on Camarana stood backstage. Fingers curled tightly around the edge of her sweater. The lights beyond the curtain were blinding. She could hear the murmurs of the audience, people rustling in their seats waiting for her. This was not a movie set. This was real. A live panel. A conversation. Not scripted. Not edited. It's not polished. And she was about to share her story. The one she had spent so long hiding. Her knees felt weak. Keanu walked up behind her, holding a bottle of water. He placed it in her hand without a word. Anna looked at him. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, he said gently. And people will still love you, maybe even more. She gave a small, shaky smile. Then she walked onto the stage. The moderator welcomed her. The room quieted. Anna took the microphone and sat down. A few deep breaths. Then she began. I used to believe that being strong meant being silent. The room stayed still. I thought if I showed my fear, my exhaustion, my doubt, people would stop believing in me. Pause. But what I've learned is that real strength isn't hiding pain. It's speaking through it. The room remained quiet, but something had shifted. People were leaning forward now. Anna's voice didn't tremble anymore. There was a moment not long ago when I almost walked away from all of this. I felt like I wasn't enough, not talented enough, not beautiful enough, not ... perfect. A hush fell deeper over the crowd. Then someone reminded me that I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to be real. She glanced toward the side of the stage. Keanu stood in the wings, watching quiet, steady. He saw me when no one else did, not as a star, not as a product, just ... as a person. And that changed everything. A soft gasp echoed from somewhere in the back. Anna took a breath. So if you're here tonight and you feel like you're not enough, please know this. You are. Even when you feel invisible. Especially then. A single clap, then another. Then the room erupted in applause. Anna smiled, but not because of the noise, because for once, the applause felt honest. Like it wasn't just for the image. It was for her. The real her. After the event, Anna walked outside with Keanu. The city lights glowed like soft lanterns. You were brave up there, he said. I was terrified. Bravery and fear live in the same heart, he replied. Can't have one without the other. She looked at him. You think people will treat me differently now? Yes, he said. Some will. Respect you more. Others won't understand. But the ones who matter will never leave. Anna nodded, then laughed lightly. You always say the right thing. I just say the true thing. They kept walking in silence. Not because there was nothing to say, but because sometimes the quiet says it all. Over the next few weeks, everything began to change. Anna was invited to more interviews, but this time they asked about her story. Not her shoes. Young actors reached out to her, saying things like, "You made me feel less alone. Thank you for being real. I didn't know someone like you could feel like someone like me." And in every message, she saw pieces of herself. The scared version, the exhausted one, the one who had almost quit, and now she had something to say back. You're not alone either. One day, on the set of a new film she was co-producing, a young Milmel, assistant spilled coffee on himself and began apologizing over and over. Anna walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You're doing your best. That's all anyone can ask for." He blinked at her, surprised, and smiled. Later that day, someone on the crew told her, "You're different from the others." "Why?" she asked. "Because you make the room feel safe." Anna didn't answer. She just let the words sit in her heart like a warm stone. Because once, she had needed someone to say that to her now. She was becoming that person for someone else. One quiet evening, Keanu invited her to a small garden. No cameras, no crowds, just candles and flowers. He handed her a single envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "A thank you letter." "From who?" "From me?" Anna opened it slowly. The note read, "Thank you for letting me walk with you through the storm. You reminded me that silence doesn't mean absence, okay, that being seen, truly seen, is the greatest gift." Anna's hands trembled. "Should be thanking you." Keanu shook his head gently. "We found healing in each other. That's how it's supposed to work." They sat under the stars, two souls. No performance, no masks, just presence and peace. As the night ended, Anna looked at him and whispered, "I used to think I needed the world's approval to feel real. And now I just need people who look at me and see more than the screen." Keanu reached over, gently squeezed her hand. "And you have that now, and always." The light that stayed at his premiere was different this time. Not because the carpet was less, red dot, not because the cameras were fewer, but because Anna was different. This wasn't a movie where she played a perfect character. This was her story, the film. She had co-written, co-produced, and shared with the world a story about imperfection, a story about being lost and finding your way again, not through success, but through kindness. As she stepped out of the car, flashes exploded like usual. But this time, she didn't flinch. She didn't search the crowd to figure out how she should look. She already knew. She just had to be herself. And she knew who was waiting just a few steps behind Keanu. Not to quiet, steady way. Not to protect her. Not to fix. Her dot, just to be there. Because that's what he'd always done. The theater filled fast as the film began. Anna sat in the back row, hands folded in her lap. Heart pounding, every line of dialogue. On the screen had once been a page in her journal. Every tear the character cried was a reflection of a moment she had lived in silence. But now, it was no longer just her story. It belonged to everyone who had ever felt unseen. When the credits rolled, the room stood. Applause thundered. People cried. Some cheered, others stood quietly. Hands over hearts. Anna's eyes were wet. Not from fear this time. From release. She had held so much in for so long. But now, it was out in the world, and it was enough. She was enough. After the show, someone asked her during a Q&A, "What gave you the courage to make something so raw?" Anna paused, then looked toward the side of the room. Keanu stood there, hands in his pockets, eyes calm as ever. "A friend," she said softly. "Someone who didn't try to fix me, but chose to stay. Even when I had nothing to offer. Even when I didn't know who I was anymore." She smiled. "That kind of presence can save a life. It saved mine." The room went silent. Not out of sadness, but out of respect. Weeks later, Anna and Keanu sat at their favorite bench by the beach. It was evening, the sun dipped low, casting long golden shadows across the waves. Anna leaned her head against his shoulder. "Do you think this feeling ever fades?" she asked. "Which feeling? The peace, the clarity?" Keanu thought for a moment. "Maybe," he said. "But that's why we return to the people and places that remind us who we are." Anna looked at him. "You're one of those people." "So are you," he said. As the days passed, Anna continued working not as a product, but as an artist. She turned down roles that didn't feel honest. She wrote stories that made her heart ache and heal at the same time. Young women messaged her saying, "You helped me speak for the first time. I thought I was alone until I watched your film. You made me believe that being sensitive is not weak, it's powerful." Anna replied to as many as she could, always ending her messages the same way: "You are seen, even when you feel invisible," because that's what Keanu had taught her, and now she passed it forward. One quiet morning, she received a letter in the mail. No name on the outside, just a single word inside: "Thank you," and a short line beneath. "I watched your film with my daughter. She hasn't smiled in weeks. But tonight, she did." Anna held the letter close to her chest. No awards, no headline, just truth. And it meant more than any review ever could. One evening, Anna and Keanu were walking along a quiet path in the hills. No lights, just stars. She stopped, suddenly, and looked up. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think pain was something to hide." "It's not," Keanu said. "It's part of the story." She nodded. "I'm proud of my story now." "You should be." She looked at him. "And I'm proud of the people who helped me write it." Keanu smiled gently. "I didn't write anything." "You did," she said. "With silence, with presence, with truth." He chuckled. "Well, when you say it like that." She laughed, his eyes soft with joy, and then just silence. Not the kind that feels empty, the kind that feels full, complete. Months later, Ina spoke at a school. A teenage girl raised her hand and asked, "How do you know when you've healed?" Ina smiled. "When the pain becomes a bridge to help someone else." The girl blinked. "How do you build that bridge?" "With people who walk beside you. Not ahead, not behind, just beside." She paused, and sometimes with a really good bowl. "Oh, soup." The room laughed gently, but the truth stayed with them. Quiet, real, undeniable. And as Anna stood outside that school afterward, looking at the setting sun, her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu. "Are you still smiling?" She replied, "Yes, this time it's real."